Good morning, everybody. Eric Lofholm here. I want to welcome all of you to our 15-minute daily motivational call. And the purpose of this call is to put you in the best mindset possible so you can have a great day today. And I'm joined today by NBA Hall of Famer Rick Barry. And to me, more importantly than being an NBA Hall of Famer, he has become a friend of mine. And we've teamed up on several occasions doing speeches together. And I've asked him to come and share some of his ideas about success and creating a winning mindset. So, Rick, with that, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I don't know. I guess some people say that since I'm Irish, somebody in the family kissed the Blarney Stone that I can talk for 15 minutes. So I guess we can go back and forth on this. But hello, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well under these incredible circumstances we've been living in for the last couple of years. That's enough to drive some people to drink. I'm glad I'm not a drinker because maybe I would have become an alcoholic during this time. But you have to have character and strength of purpose, I think, to be successful in life. But the biggest thing is to me is I always tell people, especially younger people, if you're older people listening to this thing right now, but there's nothing wrong with changing direction sometime. I mean, if you need to do that in order to better life, well, then by God, you need to do that. You need to change direction. A lot of you out there, probably, if you're saying that you have to go to work today, you're probably in the wrong profession. That means you don't love what you're doing. And I always tell people that the secret to really enjoying life is to find something you have a love and a passion for and then apply yourself. Learn as much about it as you possibly can, because that's going to be the foundation that you're going to set down to build on. And I don't think anybody I think everybody would agree with this, that you cannot build a tall building on a small foundation. It just doesn't work. You go to a certain height, it's going to topple over without the foundation. So it's the same way in whatever you're doing in life. It doesn't matter what your field of endeavor happens to be, whether it's sports, whether it's music, whether it's science, you have to have that foundation to build on. So if you learn the fundamental principles and concepts of whatever it is that you're doing and give yourself the good foundation, and you're willing to put the time and the effort in to continually build that structure, you're going to reach your full potential. There are players in the NBA today who are there on sheer incredible athleticism who will never be as good as they should be because they don't understand the fundamentals of the game and they don't utilize the great God-given talent that they had as effectively and efficiently as they should be able to if they had that understanding. And so that's why it's so important in what you're doing. And even now, if you're doing your job, even if you don't love it, try to learn more about it so that it becomes a little easier so that you can get better so you can advance. But if you're one of the people getting up in the morning, I got to go to work today, and I tell people, I said, look, I got up, I got to go play basketball. Someone paid me. I got paid to do what I love. That's not a job. Okay, seriously, that's what you want to be in life. You get to do what you love to do, and someone is going to pay you to do that. Man, that what gets better than that? I don't know. And then if you're lucky enough to find the right partner in life and you can enjoy it together, makes it even better. But
So,
that
Rick,
is
let
really
me
it.
jump in. I want to ask you about something because your free throw percentage, tell me if this is correct. Last couple of years of your career, it increased.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this before about your mindset, which is similar to
Never
what I
be
teach in
satisfied.
sales.
Never be satisfied. Never say, okay, I got it. I've done it. No, never, ever be satisfied with what you're doing. You should always be striving to get better at what it is that you're doing. I always say that when you get to the point that you think you've really made it and you know all there is to know, that's the start of the old downward spiral. You're not going to keep going up. I mean, the thing is as an athlete, when you get older, you're not going to be able to do the same things physically. But if you understand the game and you really know what you're doing and you continually working at it, you can maintain a nice level of performance instead of having a huge drop off. So it's really important in that regard that you continually strives to improve. And so I was the best free throw shooter in the NBA. And that kind of reminds me of seeing what Tiger Woods did in his career, as he was the best golfer in the world. Then he changed his swing because he thought he can get better. And so in my case, I said, damn, how can I make this better? I mean, I'm already the best. And I worked at it. And my last 6 years, when I made the change, I shot over 92%, which would be the highest in the history of the league for anybody for a career. But 92 in my last 6 years. But because I shot so many more free throws earlier in my career, when I was still a really good free throw shooter up in the high 80s, it would have been crazy the numbers I could have put up. But even then, I wasn't satisfied working with it. I kept working, working, working. My last 2 seasons in the NBA, I shot over 94%, with my highest being 94.7. And so in my last full 2 seasons of playing, I missed 9 free throws in one season and 10 in the other, 19 only in the entire season. There was a player, Andre Drummond, for the Pistons years ago when he was playing with them. He missed 23 free throws in one game. I missed 19 in 2 full seasons. So, and here's the thing, that in basketball, that's the only thing you can be selfish in and help your team. Only worried about you, and you still help your team. But if you're selfish in other areas, you can be a detriment to your team. So that's the key: is don't be satisfied with what you're doing. And then when it comes down to how do you really get to be great at something? Well, there's a lot of qualities that you can throw into the equation. It's really wonderful. You get dedicated, determination, all the other things I talk about. It all boils down to the one characteristic and the one quality that I feel differentiates the good from the great. You must have confidence in yourself and your ability to do what it is you're going to be asked to do. That is so critical, so important. And I'm sure if those of you who watch the Super Bowl, how many times did you hear the word pressure during the broadcast by the announcers? Pressure is a word that is used so indiscriminately, it drives me absolutely. Prepare properly, and you really know what you're doing. You will never feel pressure. Not one time ever in my entire career as a basketball player that I feel pressure playing basketball. Never. Why? Because I prepared myself properly. I knew the game. I thrive. I love those situations. If I could change my career and have control, be gone. I'm back.
There you
Okay.
are.
So I would want every game to come down to the last 10 seconds with the game on the line, and I want the ball in my hands. In fact, I tell them recently, people ask me about, playing and all today. I said, look, if I was playing today, I'd be a point guard. Why? Because they called me the point forward. Because if I have the ball in my hands, I control the destiny of my team. And I want that. In life, you're going to be called upon regardless of what you do. Let's say it's sales. Maybe you have to make the biggest sales presentation the company's ever made. That's a huge responsibility, isn't it? I think so. But if you are prepared and you know what you're doing, you thrive in those situations. You're looking forward to those situations. Why? Because you're getting to do what you know you can do. And it should be an excitement for you. It shouldn't be scared to death about doing it. That means you don't have a lot of confidence in yourself to be able to do what it is that you've been training to do. So if you train properly, put the time and the effort into it, you can eliminate pressure from the equation.
So, one question for you, our relationship began when my son and I flew out to be with you in Colorado that day. And you didn't know me prior to that. I just randomly reached out to you over Facebook. What was the reason that you agreed to spend some time with my son that day and pour into him?
Well, first of all, I think it was great that you're a father and you care enough about your son to try to get him some instruction to help him further his love for basketball or in life in general. And so having been blessed with so many children and so many boys who have all all got Division I college scholarships and all played professionally, which is pretty remarkable. I still shake my head in astonishment at that. Hey, if I can help another parent to be able to provide an opportunity for his son to improve his skills in the sport that I know quite well, uh, you know, why not do that? I mean, my thing is I'm not great though, so don't get me wrong. I'm not going to go teach it with somebody who's not any good. Okay, I can't do that. I don't have the patience to do that because I can watch somebody for 5 minutes and tell you whether or not he's got a chance to be any good because I can see his athleticism or her athleticism. And if you don't have that, and you don't have a natural feel for the game, you're never going to be really super great at it. I mean, that's the biggest thing is having a feel for whatever it is that you're doing. I guess like a prodigy, you would call it, and other things, music, whatever it is. But I can watch somebody play in 5 minutes and know whether or not they have a feel for the game of basketball. That it's something that's inbred in them because you can't teach it. I tell people I can teach somebody how to see, and I mean the pass. I can't teach them how to see. You can make the pass, but do you see what's happening on the court And does it come to you naturally? And you recognize the situation. I always remember my youngest son, Canyon, my wife and I were watching him play in his first game ever. I think it was fourth grade YMCA game. And a ball was passed to him as he's running down the court. He got the ball, came to him. He went like this, took the ball, and threw it ahead because he had a teammate ahead of him. Most kids would catch the ball, turn, and dribble it. But my son, I mean, we never taught him this. I mean, and we both looked at each other and said, he's got it. He had the natural feel for the game. So I knew right away that he was going to have a chance to be a really good athlete, especially in basketball, because he had this natural feel for what you should do in that situation without ever having been told. And so that's the type of thing that's kind of important. But that's why I did it, help you out and do it. I was free, and I mean, to have the time to do it. But yeah, it's nice to be able to help out and help somebody improve their lot in life, regardless of what it's for. I mean, I enjoy doing that. Eric, I wish the hell I could. I, I was born later and could have made $250 million for 5 years playing basketball, which I would have now if I was 30 years old. Not so much for me to have the money. I've always been a better giver than a receiver. Man, if I had that kind of money, the things that I would be able to do to help change people's lives, like many times I've gone to restaurants. A great friend of mine from college, his name Alan Bernstein. He became the CEO of Morton's Steakhouses. I mean, I actually loaned him money out of college to get started in the restaurant business, and he wound up becoming
Wow.
Morton's Steakhouses. My biggest mistake was I let him pay me back. I should have just said, "Look, I'll just take 10% of whatever you're doing." So anyway, I always remember that. So I knew Alan, and I would go to a restaurant, and a waitress was there. I remember exactly. It was happened to be in Denver, Colorado, and because I live in Colorado Springs part of the year. And so this gal it was a Gunther Tootie's, restaurant, just a little, lunch place, no big deal. This gal was so freaking good as a waitress. I said to her, I said, "Excuse me," I said, "Why are you working here?" She said, "What do you mean? I need a job. I do it." I said, "Yeah, but you're so good. I mean, you're as good of a waitress that I've ever had, a server." I said, would you be interested in possibly working at a different place where you can make so much more money?" He says, "Well, yeah, well, yeah." I said, "Okay, give me your information." So I got her information. So I called up Alan and said, so I got her an interview to go and interview at Morton's in Denver to see if she can get a job there. So instead of making the pittance that she was making there, I mean, she go work over there, change your life. Plus, if you're really good at doing things, Alan would let people move up. And some of the people who started as waitresses or waiters wound up becoming general managers or other things in the organization. So doing those kinds of things for people. And then if you had money, like I love the show, The Undercover Boss. Remember, there was an old show on, you're maybe too young to remember, called The Millionaire.
Mhm.
And there was a guy, John Bears for Tipton, I think was the guy's name. I think I still remember this when I was young. And he would go around doing, all of a sudden, give somebody $1 million to go ahead and see and help change their lives. But I just get so much joy out of doing that. And the only thing I ask in return, I don't want publicity or anything for it, is that if I had that kind of money, just for the person to be appreciative of what you've done for them. That's all.
Mhm. Yeah.
Just appreciate what's done and then make the most of it. But man, that would be so cool to be able to do that. Because how much money do you need to live on? I mean, $250 million. I mean, what are you crazy? I could leave a million lifetime. I mean, come on. So yeah, I wish I could do that. But that's the whole thing. You want to be successful, and if you get to be successful, then do something to help somebody else out. I mean, how much do you need?
That's right. Do you have time for one more question?
Whatever.
Okay. Here's the question. So somebody might be watching this right now and they may want to call on a bigger account, right? For sales, a bigger company, call on a CEO, call on somebody more successful, but they're afraid. So any tips you'd have to somebody who this account would really be meaningful, but they have some fear, so then they don't do the reach out?
Yeah, well, in life, it's not what you know, but who you know. I mean, for me, I'm lucky because I have name recognition. So I mean, I'm not adverse. I call every CEO, everybody. It doesn't matter to me. I just hope that maybe he was a fan and he remembers who the hell I used to be. And so I don't have a big deal with that. But my biggest thing is that you can't get a yes if you're afraid to get a no because you'll never ask. It's impossible to get a yes if you don't ask. What's the worst that can happen? If you did get an opportunity to talk to them, they say, "I'm not interested. Thank you very much." Or if they turn you down, no, it's a numbers game. Do you understand, folks? And I think this is a true statistic. At least my friend had told me that. But I used to have my life insurance agent when I was in college. I had a license to do that. I wish I had kept it up. Actually, could have really done well with it. And insurance, they approach I think it's 18 people, and they hope to get one person to do it. And so if it's a numbers game, and so if you approach enough people and you only get one out of 18, and look how much money is in the insurance business. Okay. So that's what it is. It's a numbers game. Don't be afraid. And it's not failure. It's, you didn't fail at anything. You just got to know. Big deal. So move on to the next one. Okay. And then if they're no, move on to the next one. You're probably not going to stay at zero forever. Okay. And it may only take one that says yes, that changes your entire life and makes things happen for you on a very positive nature. So you can't, it's part of the thing when I talk about, don't ever be afraid to fail. Somebody said, it was never attributed to anybody, but it said, the quickest way to learn to do something right is to do it wrong. So you learn from your mistakes, but don't be afraid of a no. A no is just a no. You move on to the next person. You ask the next person. I joke with guys when I talk to them. I said, look, if you really want to have a chance to meet some really great women and stuff, just go to a big city and do stuff and get a really downtown where everybody's working lunchtime and go out there and say hello to every good looking girl that walks by and see if she wants to go to dinner and stuff. You're going to get a lot of no's, but somebody's going to say yes. You never know.
So last question. How much of your success do you think was your born ability, and how much of it was the practice and the preparation that you put in?
Well, first of all, for me to reach the level that I reached, it's a lot of it was inherent. I mean, I was blessed with genes and athleticism and things of that nature. Not everybody is. There's a lot of guys though that make it in sports and doing it who aren't the super great athletes and weren't blessed with all of that. Those are the ones that have to put even more time into it in order to hone their skills and to get as good as they can get. Um, and even if they don't have the great athleticism, if they have the feel for the game, you can still get by with your intelligence, okay, and playing it the right way. And so it just depends on the individual. So if you're not blessed with all of that natural stuff that's there, you're going to have to put more effort and time into it to be able to reach a level of success. You'll probably never be as good as the other person if they're putting in the same time and effort as you are. But what happens is a lot of people who are blessed with that amazing talent and ability aren't willing to put the time and the effort into it. And they kind of coast along on that great natural talent, and they can still become successful, but they'll never be as successful, as I said earlier, as they could be if they understood the principles and concepts and fundamentals of what it is that you're trying to be good at. And so, it could be 50-50 sometimes. It might be 40-60. It might be 60-40 the other way. It just depends. So you just have to be willing to put the time and the effort into it. But again, I'll get back and reiterate it. Find something you love and apply yourself in that direction. And if you're miserable at your job right now, try to see if you can find something else that you've always been interested in, and see if there's an opportunity to go ahead and spend some time, learn a little bit more about it, and maybe you can make a change in your profession. I don't know. The circumstances are different for everybody, but it's never too late to make changes. But just don't be miserable. If you're miserable at your job, then you really need to do that. I mean, why do you want to be miserable? It's crazy because you spend a lot of time at